What's up, Pirates? Wraith and Jim here with Awaken TCG, and we're back with the losers of OP06. Yesterday, we had the winners of OP06. It was a great video, a lot of good information. Now, let's go to the, kind of the deep end of the pool where stuff is not as good. Stuff is really bad. Um, and we're going to talk about the losers of OP06, red, purple Uta, and green Hody Jones. Very unfortunate for these two decks, but just high hopes when they got released. But just they don't have the performance to back it up, and so let's go over some of these stats.
So, these two decks, guys, are like unimaginably bad. If you watched our OP05 losers, those three decks, Sabo, Betty, and Rocinante, those still had like a few wins. Like, they were not the worst thing in the world, and they were actually playable a bit. Like, you could bring them to locals and like squeak out a win. Wraith actually did with blue and green Rocinante. He actually squeaked out a win at one of our locals. So these were decks that you could make work and you could actually play. Uta and Hody, not so much. Let's actually just look at the stats here. So this is showing how many total wins on this entire OP One Piece Top Decks website. This is through the entirety of OP06. This is how many wins they got. And this website has like tons and tons of tournaments. If you got a Hody win, it would be on here. And we only have one. There was one dude that won a tournament. It was some local. And that was the only person who ever won with Hody in the entirety of OP06. And now let's look for Uta. Scanning, not there. Uta did not win one tournament. And do not mistake it for this Uta. This is the green Uta starter deck. Right down here. Yeah, there is no Uta winner. I don't know if anybody just didn't try it or what happened. And I'm going to go with that deck is really, really unplayable. But luckily, somebody squeaked out a win in EB, and they do not actually have any new EB cards. So we're going to be showing you that list today. But let's see what people are doing with these leaders and trying their best to make them work. First up here, we have Uta. Running the film package as this leader forces you into it. I guess we might as well show what these leaders do, as they are definitely less known than the good leaders. Uta is a red-purple leader. When attacking, you can trash one film card from your hand, and then give one of your opponent's characters minus 2k power to the end of the turn. Then add one Dawn from your Dawn deck rested. So ramping and minusing 2k power on attack is not bad, but forcing yourself into the kind of lackluster film type is not a good thing to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, I think from my point of view, one of the biggest issues is like you want to do that ramp as soon as possible. Your second turn you can attack, you want to ramp. The only issue is you have to trash a card from hand, and then those first couple turns you're not really using that minus 2000 power effect efficiently, because your opponent probably won't have anything rested to swing at. So you're just trashing a card to ramp one. At that point, there are cards where you can at least establish a body, trash one card, and still get that ramp. And you're not locked to film, right? So I guess you don't have to use a second card to ramp, but like it still feels really bad when you're kind of only using half of an effect, trashing a whole resource of yours just to ramp one. You kind of would rather want to make use of that whole effect, so you're not really ramping until you can actually swing at something to get value. But then at that point, you're probably already at 6-8 down, where it's like, okay, the ramp matters. The ramp doesn't matter as much. But yeah, I mean, I didn't really do too much research into this deck, and then obviously results still pending.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys saw earlier, a couple weeks ago, I actually made a video on this list because I am going to play this leader and try her out. I like leaders like this that nobody's really found a list that they made work yet. So a little bit of a deck building challenge. Going to try to do my best at a local for sure. And I kind of played a similar list to this. I think there's a few different cards I'd be running, but yeah, I think just being locked into the film archetype is bad in general. And your deck's just trying to do too many things at once. You're trying to ramp, so you have to play big bodies. You also are trying to minus power, so you want to play things that KO with power, which means you have to play red cards. You want to Dom minus, and there's just so much going on, and it just doesn't end up working. But I mean, hopefully you know, we can still have fun on this leader. If you're looking forward to Uta, I think there's still slightly a chance.
Yeah, slightly.
And next up here, we've got Hody Jones. Technically the better of these leaders, as this is the only one that got a win, but still not good at all. I think the main issue with Hody, guys, let's go over the effect. It's just going to be activate main, rest the leader, and then you can rest one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 3 or less, or one of their Dawn cards, and then during this turn you cannot add life cards to your hand through your own effects. Resting your leader and not being able to attack is a big issue, especially in a removal meta, because that means you have to have characters on board that actually can swing and do things if your leader is not attacking. And I think these characters just aren't good enough to warrant resting your leader. I wish this guy just completely removed this, rest a 3 or less, and it just said like activate main, or just not even activate main. Maybe you could just read, you cannot take cards to your life from your own effects. If that's all this leader said, he would be so much better.
Yeah, I feel like they just made the, you know, his effect a little too costly for him to be good. Big requirement. You can't attack.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big issue for sure. And I mean, there are good Fishman cards. Like, we're running Hody Jones. We have a Searcher too, even. But like these cards, they sound good on paper, but if they're taking life, it means you have to use leader effect, which just isn't a good thing to do in the first place, unfortunately.
Yeah, which means, you know, you're being less aggressive. And then those small bodies you're playing, you know, there's decks that take care of those really easily. Oh, it's the top 2 decks in the format. So
yeah,
kind of just gets washed out, unfortunately, by the meta.
And green, obviously, not being the best color in OP06 anyway. Definitely going to be even worse if you are locked into these Fishman cards.
Yeah, no. Again, another loser of OP06, not as bad as Uta, I'd say, because you still have outs in this deck. Uta, like I said, we're still scanning for that first win. But yeah, I mean, these two are definitely the worst decks of OP06. Not saying you can't win in locals with them. I'm sure you can, especially if you're a good player. It's just that when it comes to the competitive scene, the meta, you're definitely not going to run these in a tournament if your priority is placement.
For sure. 4 fun leaders at best.
All right, Pirates. Thank you guys so much for sticking to the end of this video. Like I said last episode, 5,000 subs. We're giving away 5 OP06 boxes. So be on the lookout for that. We're going to give you guys information real soon because we're honestly about to hit that number. We couldn't do it without you guys. But that's going to be the end of this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe to our channel. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.